Incident Management Team 4. I don't want to minimize where the fire is burning in any other part of the fire, but where it has moved into Santa Barbara County, it's in a very unique area of California. The Santa Ynez Range, we call it the Santa Barbara Front Country. It's unique because it has the ocean on one side and then hot interior on the other for a really long east-west direction. And that creates some pretty interesting and frankly very dangerous firefighting conditions. There's been multiple fatalities in this small stretch of ground over the historical record of firefighting. The Romero fire, which is about where the fire is right now, resulted in the loss of 4 lives of dozer operators in 1971. And then Coyote Fire in 1964 took the life of a firefighter up on the top of the Camino Cielo, which is a road that runs across the range. And there have been many, many close calls of firefighters in this area. So we don't take it lightly. It definitely complicates our tactics and strategy to be in this piece of ground here.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm Sheriff Bill Brown from Santa Barbara County, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some evacuation information pertinent to Santa Barbara County. At approximately 1:30 a.m. this morning, deputies from the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office, as well as from the Ventura County Sheriff's Office and search and rescue teams from both agencies, began assembling and spent much of the day going door to door to make sure that everyone in the mandatory evacuation areas had been notified that they must leave. These teams did a great job today making sure that everyone got the assistance and got out of the area safely. And I want to thank also the people of Santa Barbara County who cooperated with those mandatory evacuation orders. Throughout the day today, the fire, as you've heard, has moved in a westerly direction and into some new areas or zones that have been placed under mandatory evacuation and evacuation warning orders. The Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office, the County of Santa Barbara, and the Combined Incident Command take evacuation orders very seriously. And an evacuation order means that you need to leave your residence or your business immediately. So far to date, more than 5,000 Santa Barbara County residents are now under mandatory evacuation orders. And as of about an hour or so ago, the current mandatory evacuation area was moved to include everything east of Mission Canyon to the county line that is north of Highway 192. Again, that's everything east of Mission Canyon, north of Highway 192. That's East Valley Road, all the way to the county line. No one should remain in or try to enter that area. There are also currently more than 30,000 people who are under evacuation warnings. These areas include everything west of Mission Canyon to Highway 154 and all areas south of 192 from Highway 154 essentially all the way to the county line, south of 192 to the county line. That's the area east of Mission Canyon. Those are, again, evacuation warning areas. If people in Santa Barbara County have some doubts as to whether or not they are in a mandatory evacuation zone or in a warning area, they can go to an interactive evacuation map that is on the Santa Barbara County website. That website is countyofsb.org. If you go there, there's prominently displayed a link to the Thomas Fire information. If you click on that link, it'll take you to an interactive map and walk you through entering your address, and that will let you know whether or not you are in an evacuation area or in a warning area. But whether or not you are in an evacuation warning area or not, if anyone lives in Santa Barbara County, in the south part of our county, from essentially Santa Barbara through Montecito, through Summerlin, and through Carpinteria. If you live in that area, now is the time for you to be preparing to evacuate yourself and your loved ones just in case. You need to have a plan where you and your family can go, whether it's to a friend's home whether it's to a family member, whether it's to a hotel, or whether it's to a shelter. And there is a shelter open at the University of California at Santa Barbara's Recreational Center on Ocean Road. And we thank UCSB for providing that safe place for people to go. In preparing to evacuate, you should gather your family members, your pets, your valuable and irreplaceable documents, photographs, jewelry, and small heirlooms. Make sure that you pack any prescription medications and several days' worth of clothing as well. This fire has acted in an unpredictable manner. It has been very rapidly moving, and it's going to be a multi-day event. So please do what you can now to prepare to evacuate either yourselves and your family members and get them out of harm's way if it's necessary. I'd like to leave you with this thought. There's a lot of anxiety out of there. There's a lot of visible flame, particularly in the Carpinteria area tonight. This is a menacing fire, certainly, but we have a lot of people who are working very diligently to bring this fire under control. And some of the finest fire service and law enforcement professionals that there are working on this fire together. And they are supported by a host of other support staff, both here at the Incident Command Center and at the two counties emergency operations centers and at city emergency operations centers. There are a lot of people who are working to address this problem. And both of our counties have faced fires and problems like this before, and we are going to get through this one as well. We're going to do that by working together. Thank you.
Good evening, Mark Brown, Operations Section Chief from Thomas Fire. Back at the podium because we've been seeing some questions that have been popping up on the online feeds. We're not in the question period, but we'll do that. But just to address the questions that we've seen on the feeds is there have been quite a few questions about the Fillmore area and the eastern edge of the fire. In the canyons above Fillmore, the fire has chewed through our retardant lines where we could not place ground firefighters. So people are going to see some increased activity in that area, but please know that our resources are in place to mitigate any threats for the town of Fillmore. Plans are in place. And to ask another question, during that 14 hours of extreme fire behavior I discussed, the fire moved approximately 7 miles to the west with about a 56,000 acre growth. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Todd Durham, Incident Commander for Cal Fire Team 4 and one of your unified commanders. Just to update you on some of the statistics with our incident. The acreage has increased, as Chief Brown mentioned. We're up to 230,000 acres at 10% containment. There's just under 6,000 firefighters here. We anticipate that to grow a little more. And to that end, to better serve the firefighters and both the counties, we may be setting up a additional camp other than this incident base into Santa Barbara County. So that's being evaluated now. So you may hear more about that in the days to come and see another incident command structure facility established up there. Nonetheless, we remain in unified command at both county levels. The cost to date to suppress this fire is $34 million. And some updated numbers on the damage inspection of structures in the city of Ventura. The number of structures damaged, 135 and destroyed 524. In the unincorporated areas of the county, damaged 56 and destroyed 266. As mentioned, we're having good success using aircraft. We still have 4 very large air tankers, so we look forward to continuing to use that. The number of air assets that we're using now, both the fixed-wing air tankers and the rotor-wing, we have a good number. We have a good balance of aircraft right now, and as the weather continues to cooperate, we'll continue maximizing the use of those aircraft. Thank you.
I will now take some questions.
Any idea how many homes burned in this after it flared up this morning? Since then, how many homes have burned? And what happened to the firefighter? I was told that one was injured.
As far as the structures, any structures that may have been damaged or destroyed from the recent fire behavior, we have not been able to get damage inspection crews into those areas because, quite frankly, it's not safe for them to go in there yet. And we did have an injury, but Bill, are you available do you have the information on the injury?
I do not.
Okay, we did have a leg injury that was transported off the fire line, but I don't have any more details beyond that.
Any additional questions?
I just heard him give some stats on lost property, homes damaged. Can he give those again? Because I was a little confused on lost versus damaged.
Absolutely. I'll go through the number of damaged structures within the city of Ventura. The total number of damaged structures is 135. The total number of structures destroyed within the city is 524. In the unincorporated areas of the county, number of structures damaged, 56. The number of structures destroyed, 266.
And do you expect that number to go up as you...
The damage, as just previously mentioned, that assessment continues, and as you can see with 230,000 acres, and we're still at 10% containment. We're still being challenged, so that assessment will continue until we get containment of the fire.
What are you expecting overnight tonight?
Overnight, what we've been experiencing thus far, and I'll also let weather come up again if I don't satisfy your question, is the patterns, simply stated, have been repeating themselves. So from a command level perspective, I anticipate the same or similar challenges tonight and into the early morning that we had experienced yesterday.
Can I ask one last question? Or is somebody else?
Go ahead.
Somebody was just saying about how unique it is now it's moved up into Santa Barbara County in this area. What is it that makes this area so unique? What is it that makes fighting the fire here so unique?
I'll let Tim address that for you.
Okay.
As I stated, the Santa Barbara Front Country, or the Santa Ynez Range, is a very long east-west mountain range. It's unusual for California. But what even makes it more unusual is it has the ocean on one side and very hot interior on the other. And that causes the air to change places at odd or unusual times of the day. You get downslope winds when you don't expect them. You get upslope winds when you don't expect them. The other issue with the Santa Barbara Front Country is the age of the fuels. The area where the fire is now last burned in the 1964 Coyote fire. So that fuel is 50 plus years old. And as we get further down the range, the fuel conditions remain similarly difficult. So it's just a very difficult place to fight fire. It's very dangerous. It has a historical record of multiple fatalities occurring over the years. It's had many near miss or injury-causing accidents, and we just want to make sure we're cognizant of that as we stay in this area.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you guys seeing people paying attention to the evacuation orders, or are you seeing people wanting to stay home and protect their homes?
I can tell you the experience in Santa Barbara County has been that people have been very cooperative in leaving the areas. Again, last night and tonight, the fire is very visible, so I think it's very real to most people are seeing how close the fire is. We're fortunate that wind conditions is not pushing that fire down the hill into the populated areas at this point, but people can see the fire, and those who are the closest to it are in the mandatory evacuation areas, and they've been very cooperative for the most part in terms of leaving that area.
If anyone chooses to stay home, could they face criminal charges?
They're not going to face criminal charges, but obviously they could face fatal consequences. I mean, the reality is we wouldn't be telling people they need to leave the area unless we were convinced that they're in an area that had an extreme danger, that they were in a lot of peril. And for them to stay and try to remain, and some people think, well, I want to try to defend my house, but if professional firefighters are unable to defend a house in a particular instance with the equipment that they have, there's a very low likelihood that anything that a homeowner has is going to help him or her save that house. So it really is not worth the danger to the homeowner or the family members. And again, they should be preparing now to evacuate if they haven't been evacuated already, if they're in those areas, and even if they're in any area, frankly, from about Goleta south to the Ventura County line. People should be preparing to leave with whatever they can gather up that's irreplaceable and small.
For the people in the warning areas who are not under mandatory evacuations, will they get some sort of cell phone ping or something should that change?
We do have Nixle alerts, and we have a number of different ways that they can sign up on our website, the Sheriff's Office website, for notifications. They can go to the county website that I mentioned, countyofsb.org, and get up-to-date information about where the fire is and where the evacuation areas are.
Any additional questions? Again, thank you for being here tonight. I think it's clear that this is a very large, challenging, and dynamic incident, so we continue to ask the public to pay attention to the alerts and notices that they receive. Thank you for being here.